Harihi Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaskara to all. Sadashiva Samharambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru-Paramparam. A warm welcome to everyone on the 11th day of the third Global Festival of Oneness. This is a month-long festival of Adi Shankaracharya covering various aspects and topics of Advaita Vedanta of Adi Shankaracharya. Today we have Satyan ji, and the topic he's going to speak on is the nature of moksha and its means. A brief introduction about him. Lakshmi Narayan Satyan Chidambaran is a full-time student of Vedanta and Sanskrit based in Chennai. He has been studying Vedanta under his guru, Pujya Swamiji Paramatmanandaji since 2003. A graduate of IIT Madras in computer science and a postgraduate from the University of Michigan, Satyanji served at a global software firm for 26 years in various technical leadership roles before leaving his job to focus on his Vedanta and Sanskrit studies full-time. Satyanji was first introduced to Vedanta in 1996 at Chinmaya Mission when he was in the US. Subsequently, Satyanji came across the teaching of his Parama Guru, Pujya Swamiji Dayanand Saraswati ji, who opened his eyes with regards to how Vedanta is a pramana for Atma Jnana. Satyanji then studied for almost a decade under Sri Vijay Kapoorji, a senior disciple of Pujya Swamiji Dayanand Saraswati at the Ashra Vidya Center in California. Satyanji also helped organize public talks and retreats by Pujya Swamiji Viditva Atmanandaji and Pujya Swamiji Tadatva Vidyanandaji. Satyanji also started listening to Pujya Swamiji Paramatmanandaji classes on various Vedanta texts when he was in US. Over a decade ago, Satyanji moved to Chennai to continue his Vedanta studies directly under his guru, Sri Paramatmanandaji. For past couple of years, Satyanji has been studying Panini Vyakarana based on Laghu Siddhanta Kaumadi under Dr. Soumya Krishnapur from Yoma Samskrita Pathshala. Over to you, Satyanji.
Harihi Om. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Om. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of this festival for their kind invitation for me to speak here and for their introduction. Just one clarification. My guru's name is Swami Paramathanandaji.
Okay, sure.
The topic that we have chosen for today is the nature of moksha and its means. The first question is, why this topic? Moksha is unconditional fulfillment. It relates to human fulfillment. Therefore, at some level, the topic is relevant to every human being. Whether one explicitly acknowledges it or not, every human being is looking for unconditional fulfillment. Nobody will say, I don't want it. Therefore, it helps for everybody to understand, or at least know somewhere in the back of their mind, that there is this accomplishment called moksha that Vedanta talks about. Everyone needs a roadmap, or at least needs to know a rough roadmap for how to get there. Now, somebody may say, I am very far away from it, I'm not interested. But even then, it's just like planting a seed, which will germinate sometime in the future when the conditions are right. The topic becomes more relevant for somebody who has sensed an inner emptiness despite various accomplishments materially. Now, the topic becomes extremely relevant for seekers of moksha. One who has decided that I want to seek moksha with some level of commitment. And when somebody is committing to the seeking of moksha, that means that they have withdrawn their commitment to some extent from other pursuits. So one has to be very clear about what is the problem one is trying to solve. And clarity with regards to what the nature of moksha is and what the means are. They are critical. Because if clarity on these topics is not there, then one may continue to flounder. Like a blindfolded person in a dense forest who's trying to find the way out, who wants to get out, but because of being blindfolded, it becomes extremely hard. Clarity with regards to some of these topics is 90% of the battle. And therefore, one needs to be clear about some of these things, and that will inform the person what to seek, what should I be seeking, and where to seek. So, with this background, let us proceed further. Now, for moksha to be relevant, one has to discover the problem of samsara. Because unless one has discovered the problem of samsara, moksha will not seem to be very relevant. It is like there has to be hunger for somebody to say that I need food. Unless one is really hungry, one will not appreciate the food. So, similarly, for one who has discovered the problem of samsara, there is spiritual hunger. And for such a person, moksha becomes a very relevant pursuit. So, the next question becomes, what is this samsara? It is an endless struggle for fulfillment. Endless struggle. There is a certain axiom which is the starting point for samsara, that I am a limited, mortal, individual body mind. This is the axiom. Every subject has its axioms. For example, one axiom of algebra is that a plus b equals b plus a. It looks so obvious that nobody thinks of even questioning it. So, the fact that I am this limited, mortal, individual body mind, it looks like an unquestionable fact. And therefore, we all take it for granted. Because I have said I am a limited, mortal, individual body mind, I also conclude as a result of this that I am not secure and not happy with myself. Now, the corollary of this axiom that naturally follows is that I have to now become secure and happy. Note the word become. So, how? How does one try to become secure and happy? By pursuing securities, which we call artha, artha purushartha, and pleasures called kamaha, kama purushartha. Purushartha means a human goal. So I decide that I am not secure and happy with myself, I need to become secure and happy, and therefore I have to pursue artha and kama in accordance with my likes and dislikes, in accordance with my ragas and dveshas. So I'm going to be using these three terms: artha, kama, raga, dveshas. So that refers to the securities, pleasures, and my likes and dislikes, in accordance with my likes and dislikes. Now, what happens that I define the problem. So let's define the problem I am trying to solve is that I have to become secure and happy. So this is the problem to which every human being is seeking a solution. Now, I have defined the problem. So the next thing is, how do I go about solving it? So clearly, I am not comfortable with my lack of security and happiness. And I feel that I need to change my situation by becoming secure and happy. We have already seen this. So now I visualize that I will become secure if I accomplish X. X may be something, whatever. Or I will become happy if I accomplish Y. And marketing people actually help. I mean, they know about this. So they help somebody, their potential customer, visualize this. And that's why we see all these smiling advertisements, right, where they project that you will be happy with my product or my service. Now, what this X and Y is can vary from person to person. For somebody, it may be buying a car. Buying a car will make me happy or will make me secure. It could be either of those two. For somebody else, it may be selling a car because the car is giving a lot of trouble. It's now old. So instead of it's a money drain. So they want to sell the car. For somebody, it may be buying a house. For somebody, it may be selling a house. For somebody, it may be getting a spouse. For somebody, it may be divorcing a spouse. The reason I'm picking these opposite examples is to show that even though what somebody may be doing is quite the opposite to another, the universal goal is the same, that I want to become secure, I want to become happy. So, with this goal, one pursues X or Y, whatever it is. Now, when X or Y is accomplished, temporarily there is a sense of fulfillment. There's no doubt about it. There is some fulfillment. And at that point, in those moments of fulfillment, I am comfortable. When I'm comfortable, it means at that point I'm secure and happy with myself. I don't want any change. This is important to note. Now, this fleeting experience of fulfillment becomes my standard by which I judge me myself at other times. And I say that I have experienced these moments of fulfillment, and that is the only way I can get fulfillment. So I conclude I should do more of the same. Pursuing artha and pursuing kama is the only way to get some fulfillment in this world, and I don't know of any other way. Now, this is the solution people adopt generally. What is the problem here? Why is there a struggle? So we need to study this a bit. One is that whatever I acquire, the objects of the world that I acquire, let's take that for my security. Those objects are themselves inherently insecure. Let's take a simple example of money. No doubt money can buy a lot of things, and money is desirable. But then what happens is that money itself is inherently insecure. So when I have the money, I now have to worry about the security of the money. The money could be in the bank, in which case I have to worry about inflation that is eating the money. Or the money could be in the form of gold. Then I have to worry about it being stolen. We take anything that we acquire, it is inherently insecure and will have these properties. Take a refrigerator, for example. I need food, and not just food, I need future food. So, to secure my future food, I need a refrigerator. But I need to secure the refrigerator so I get an extended warranty. And the extended warranty may expire at some time, will expire at some time. The extended warranty is also not inherently secure, it will expire. So, there is this chain. Right. So for every little thing I get involved in, there's this chain. And now what happens is the original problem I started off solving was my security. But now I have to worry about the security of my securities and the security of my securities. So there is this chain. So this causes a preoccupation of the mind with these things. Let's move further. I strike relationships in order to accomplish my artha and kama goals. So, what happens is that through that relationship, I am seeking security and happiness. But the person involved on the other side is also not secure and happy with himself or herself. So, that person is seeking security and happiness through me. I am seeking security and happiness through him or her. So I have certain expectations from them to fulfill my security and happiness needs. And they have certain expectations from me also. So it's not a one-way street. So this results in struggle in relationships. And the other person's insecurities also become my insecurities. I worry about the other person's insecurities also. The third point is that the world is inherently unpredictable, uncontrollable, and unsustainable. So it is impossible to align the world around me completely in accordance with ragas and dveshas of mine. Something or the other will fall apart. Something or the other will happen in the world, which will not be in keeping with my expectations, my raga dveshas. So when my raga dveshas are not fulfilled, it leads to negative reactions that Swami Paramathananda ji calls HAFD: helplessness, anger, frustration, depression. There may be somebody who says, life is good, I am doing, quite well, and I don't have any issues, I am enjoying. If some, maybe a well-to-do person who has a lot of resources may feel something like this. But then all it takes is a stomachache to bring such a person to his knees. Life is like a one-sided boxing match where I am blindfolded and I am against an opponent. I don't know where the next blow is going to come from. And this other opponent is my own prarabdha karma. My prarabdha karma brings conducive experiences, and it also brings unpleasant experiences. If I could see the opponent, at least I could duck or do something like that. But when I don't see the opponent, I cannot do anything. I have to take the blow. Bhajagovindam says, Ma kuru dhana jana yavana garvam. Don't be too proud of your wealth, dhana. Don't be too proud of your youth. Don't be too proud of the people around you who may be saying yes to everything you say. Because Harati Nimeshat Kalas Sarvam, time can take everything away. In a minute, your world can turn upside down. Now, the next complication in the matter is that my ragas and dveshas themselves are changing. And it's like I am on a changing platform, a platform itself which is moving. And this platform itself determines the target. Because my raga dveshas determine the target. And the target is also moving because as my raga dveshas change, the target also changes. So in this, some things that I found I like 5 years ago, I may feel it's a burden now. I don't like it anymore. And things that I liked, I can get bored with it. The novelty value fades. And therefore I look for newer and newer pursuits. So all this entire system, all it can give me is some fleeting moments of happiness. And then because of the pressure of my raga dveshas, that I have to accomplish X or Y, I am busy with my next pursuit and next pursuit. So it's like I'm in a never ending race with a moving finish line, or I'm running on a treadmill where my state is largely saying that I need to become secure, I need to become happy. And now, when all this is happening, one is getting older. And old age leads to what Swami Paramathananda ji calls the federal problem. Federel. Fe stands for fear. De, depression. Re, regrets. And L is loneliness. There is fear of the future, whether I'm going to get bedridden, what kind of diseases I might get in old age. There's depression because the body, the very body that gave me pleasures, is now giving me pains. There are regrets about the past, omissions and commissions that I'm not able to do anything about now. And then there is loneliness because all the companions of mine, they are departing or have departed. And the next generation is busy with their pursuits, so nobody has much time to talk to me or be with me. So this way the entire life goes. Bhajagovindam says, Balastavat Krida Saktaha, Tarunastavat Taruni Saktaha, Vriddhastavat Chinta Saktaha, Parame Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. In childhood, I was busy with my playthings. In youth, I was busy pursuing my partner or spending time with my partner, future partner perhaps, or my partner. And Vriddhastavat chinta saktaha. In old age, one is riddled with these worries. And parame brahmani kopi na saktaha. Nobody has time to think about the higher realities of life. So one is unfulfilled during death, and death does not end it. The struggle continues in the next life and next life. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. It continues. So a materialist purely pursues artha and kama goals, and perhaps even unethically. For the materialist, the world is the means and the world is the end. And the struggle to become secure and happy continues. There is no end to samsara for such a person. So let's proceed further and see what else is there. So now the Veda comes in and it talks about the next Purushartha called Dharma. Now, Dharma has two meanings that are relevant here. One is a code of conduct, adherence to a certain code of conduct. And the other is punya, which is merit that can be earned. So let's talk about the code of conduct first. So a lot of it is a common sense code of conduct. I know that I don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be cheated. I don't want to be hurt. And I also know that the other person expects to be treated the same way. Therefore, there's actually everybody has these expectations when dealing with the world or with any person. So then this becomes a universal value that I should not treat somebody in a manner that I would not like to be treated myself. So not lying, not cheating, not hurting becomes a universal value. This is Samanya Dharma. Then there can be a specific code tailored for an individual. Let's take the example of a soldier. Now, a soldier has to, in some cases, use himsa. He has to perform an act which may involve hurt. And that is in order for a higher good, in order to preserve dharma. Now, this becomes Vishesha Dharma for the soldier because it is it is in some sense the soldier's duty to do some of this, right? But in some sense, every action, every situation that we take, we have to evaluate the proper action. There can be a right or wrong action. Hurting is the right action for the soldier to do, but hurting is not the right action for everybody to do. So each situation needs to be interpreted to evaluate what is a right action in this situation, what is a wrong action. And then the Veda also informs me about the law of karma. The law of karma says that actions that we do, they incur this punyam or papam. Punyam, roughly translated as merit, although it has no good translation in English. And papam is translated as demerit. So actions that are in keeping with dharma will incur merit, but actions that are not in keeping with dharma will incur papam or demerit. So what is the use of this punyam, one may ask? It is an unseen wealth, an unseen currency. How does this currency help me? Just like I have my local currency, which I can exchange for artha and kama. Similarly, this unseen punyam, Veda says, will help me procure future artha and kama, material goals. The Veda also says that the same punyam can help me get my spiritual growth also. It can help me pursue my spiritual goals. So the punyam can help in two ways, getting me future material goals and helping me pursue my future spiritual goals. Now, the mix of the punyam and papam determines the type of birth also that one gets. Roughly equal punyam and papam means one will get a human birth. But if papam is in predominance, one may get a plant birth or an animal birth. If punyam is in predominance, the Vedas say one may become a devata. So with this, what happens is now the materialist can get interested in this. See, the Vedas motive is to try to get everybody on board in the spiritual journey. The Veda does not want to leave the materialist out. The Veda says, I will help you accomplish your material goals. So the punyam that you earn through the karmas, I tell you, will help you accomplish your material goals. Such karmas are called sakama karmas. And Swarga Loka is the highest form of result that one can get from a sakama karma, where one has, an abundance of artha and kama. But the Veda warns that this punyam from such sakama karmas, they also are limited. They will bring the result, no doubt, but one day that punyam will expire. And when the punyam expires, that experience has to end. So even if one goes to Swarga Loka, one has to come back. That's why Bhagavad Gita says, क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकम विशन्ति ते तम भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकम विशालम क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकम विशन्ति. So a religious materialist gets interested. So a religious materialist starts to perform these karmas. And one thing that's the difference between a materialist and a religious materialist is that the religious materialist will not violate dharma, because at least try not to violate dharma, because he or she is afraid of the retribution of karma. So the acts are in keeping with dharma. And Veda also introduces Ishvara, as we talked about, as a karma phaladata. For such a person, Ishvara becomes the means and the world becomes the end or the goal. Krishna talks about the Artha Bhakta who thinks of Ishvara only when he or she is in trouble, and the Artharthi Bhakta who makes Ishvara a business partner and engages more with Ishvara, not just when he's in trouble, but with the idea of getting Artha and Kama goals. But there is, since the Veda has got its foot in the door, so to say, the Veda says there is one thing though, in order for your Sakama karmas to be successful, you have to perform certain obligatory duties. certain karmas for which the beneficiary is somebody else. Paropakara karmas, nishkama karmas. So if you have to do these karmas for the sakama karmas to be successful. So the materialist follows this, the religious materialist follows this. And these are the karmas that make that person grow spiritually, because the punyam from these karmas brings some spiritual growth. Therefore, the religious materialist also begins to grow once the person comes into the fold of the Vedas. But his or her struggle to continue this chase that I will become happy or I will become successful will continue. Now, the other thing is that the Veda says your artha and kama has to be left behind on death, but the dharma that you do, that will go with you in your future lives. So the punyam you will carry forward. And this punyam also helps the person get a better birth, and so on, where the person perhaps can pursue the spiritual goals some more. Now, such a person may come across some satsanga, right? Some guru. The materialist would probably have said, "What is all this? I'm not interested." But there is a little bit of that punyam that is working now. So he starts to get interested in this. And then the guru perhaps tells him that you should now change the ratio of your sakama karmas and nishkama karmas. So therefore, he begins to perform more nishkama karmas. This is where karma yoga comes in. And under the guidance of such a guru, he might adopt the lifestyle of karma yoga. Extremely important. In fact, this is the indirect means to moksha. So, what exactly is this karma yoga? It is proper action and proper attitude. Proper action is action that is in keeping with dharma. Proper attitude is twofold: Ishwararpana buddhi and prasada buddhi. It is important to understand this. That at the time I am doing the action, I dedicate it to Ishvara. Only actions that are in keeping with dharma can be dedicated to Ishvara. And similarly, when I get the results of my actions, that is when situations are unfolding in my life, I accept it as Ishvara's prasada, prasada buddhi. Just as when I go to a temple, I get the prasadam. It may be a leaf, it may be water, it may be ash, or it may be a hot chakra pongal. I don't look at it as a leaf, it is tulasi prasadam. I don't look at it as just water, it is tirtham. And I take the ash as vibhuti. And similarly, the chakra pongal, also whatever it is, I take it all as prasada. Humbly, I accept it. I don't say, I don't want this. I did not expect this. I accept whatever I get with humility. So the nishkama karmas this person also does nishkama karmas like we discussed, and the ratio starts to increase. So there's Pancha Mahayagya, which is the contributory karmas that he does. There is Deva Yagya, worship of Ishvara, Pitra Yagya, taking care of one's parents, and acknowledging the contributions of my ancestors, taking care of my parents in old age, and even after they are gone, performing the karmas that are required for them. Pitri Yagya. And then there is Brahma Yagya, which is studying our scriptures, Shastras, doing Parayanam, understanding what they are trying to say. There is Manushya Yagya, where one helps one's fellow human beings who are in difficulty, doing Dhanam, etc. And there is Bhuta Yagya, where one takes care of the environment and of the creatures that are around me. I don't ignore them. So all of these karmas begin to speed up this person's spiritual growth. For him, bhakti is there. Since Ishvara is there, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is there, Prasada Buddhi is there, this person is a bhakta. There is bhakti, devotion. So for such a person, the world becomes a means and Ishvara starts to become the goal. He starts to see some of the limitations. of the world, but completely not yet clear yet. That clarity comes. So such a person shifts from world dependence to God dependence, and then begins to create a pathway for the freedom from samsara. How does it happen? Karma done as yoga becomes a means for chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is an important milestone in one's life. Upadesha Saram says, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. The actions that are done dedicated to Ishvara, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam, not done with this artha kama motive. Chitta Shodhakam become a means for the purity of mind. Chitta Shuddhi, one starts to get a purity of mind. Mukti Sadhakam, it becomes an indirect means to moksha. The Viveka Chudamani says, Chittasya Shuddhaye Karma. Karma is for Chitta Shuddhi. One should be very clear about the role of karma and knowledge in one's life. What karma can accomplish, knowledge cannot, and what knowledge can accomplish, karma cannot. Karma can accomplish Chitta Shuddhi. And what exactly is this Chitta Shuddhi? Basically, the hold of the ragas and dveshas on the personality begins to weaken. How does it weaken? Because there is Ishwararpana Buddhi, one evaluates in every situation what is the right action to be done. The right action has to be in keeping with Dharma. Therefore, if one evaluates a certain a situation and says, this is the right action to do, and even if I don't like it, I do it because that is the right thing to be done. That is what needs to be done. So my raga dveshas become subservient to Dharma. On the other side, there is prasada buddhi. So when situations unfold in my life, I take it with as Ishvara prasada. I take it with humility. And then again, my raga dveshas may rebel a bit, saying that, I don't like this situation. But then one says, this is what is Ishvara's prasada. I should accept it with humility. So when this happens, the hold of the raga dveshas naturally tends to weaken. And this leads to samatvam, where one takes the ups of life with a certain equanimity of mind, and the downs of life also with the equanimity. Even if it's a difficult situation, even it's a harsh situation, I will say, I will go through this situation because this is Ishvara's prasada. Even a sickness can be taken like that, and a karma yogi does that. So such a person's mind becomes a learning mind, not a reacting mind. Therefore, for every situation, instead of reacting, the person learns what is going on. What should I do better? What is it that I can improve? When this happens, now there is one more point here, that the mind is also an unpreoccupied mind. So the mind is not constantly impelling one to go after this, go after that, because of the hold of raga dveshas weakening. And this lifestyle earns Ishvara's anugraha, Ishvara's grace. Ishvara's anugraha is nothing but my own karma phalam. It is the karma phalam of those nishkama karmas. It is the punyam which comes into my life, and I call it Ishvara's anugraha. This Ishvara's anugraha is extremely important in the spiritual journey, because this Ishvara's anugraha is what brings chitta shuddhi. It brings one to see the limitations of the world. It makes one, it helps one go to a guru, approach a guru. And then when the guru says something, it makes one follow those instructions. And when the guru teaches, it helps one understand the teaching. So it is required all the way for an obstacle-free spiritual journey. This Ishvara's anugraha is very important, and one earns this. One has to earn this anugraha. Now, what happens is such a person begins to see the limitations of the artha kama-centric pursuits. Such a person sees threefold doshas. Doshas means defects in each of these pursuits. There is dukkha mishritatvam. Dukkha mishritatvam means that all of these are mixed with sorrow, and the sorrow is proportional to the pleasure it gives any object. So the sorrow when the object departs is proportional to the pleasure it gave me. There is atripti karatvam, because none of this fulfills me. I go from limitation to limitation. A few extra things that I acquire, they are also limited. They are not going to help me become limitless, help me transcend my limitation. There's bandhakatvam, because whatever I am acquiring, they tend to enslave me. Luxuries become necessities. I feel that I cannot live without them. And even the dharma, the punyam that one can get, it brings a pleasurable situation, no doubt. And it is very desirable even for spiritual progress. But then the material, if I am after the material the punyam that brings material goals, then that punyam will also expire. And when that expires, that leaving punyam is dukkham, because it will bring me the conducive situation will go away. The conducive situation going away, the punyam going away, is sorrow. So everything in the world is like this shoe. I feel I need a shoe because I cannot walk bare feet, because the stones prick me. But then I get the shoe, and now we have all experienced it, that there are these shoes that bite me. And then, I cannot drop the shoe, but at the same time, one cannot also wear the shoe comfortably, because either way it is a problem, right? So everything in the world is like a shoe. Whether it's my family, it's a source of joy and sorrow. Whether it's my possessions, a source of joy and sorrow. Whether it's my profession, a source of joy and sorrow. All artha, kama, and dharma pursuits are a mixed bag. This is the viveka that one gets, which is a key, which is a key milestone if one begins to see this. So fundamentally, I go back to the problem I defined, right? I want to be happy and secure. That is the problem I'm trying to solve. But then all these actions that accomplish the limited artha, kama, and dharma goals, they have not been able to solve this problem completely for me. I have not solved the problem. At every point, I'm still saying, I want to be happy and secure. The Kathopanishad says, Na vittena tarpaniyo manushya. Money cannot make one happy and secure. Money can buy a lot of things, but it cannot buy happiness, it cannot buy security. So if I expect any object or relationship in the world to make me happy, then that is like mirage water. It cannot quench my thirst. I can get some things out of that object, or I can get some things out of that relationship, but trying to draw fulfillment, trying to draw happiness, and trying to draw security out of it is a mistake. So not everybody discerns this problem. The person who has chitta shuddhi is able to see this. And then the next question is it possible to be completely fulfilled at all? Is it possible for me to be completely secure and happy? I've tried a lot of things, it's not working. So when one comes to this point, the Veda says that I have done my job. The Veda Purva says this, first part of the Veda, Karma Kanda, says that I can give you Artha, I can give you Kama, I can give you Dharma, but what you are asking for, I cannot solve. At this point, the person has to come to Vedanta. Vedanta is the Moksha Shastram. It is the Shastram that informs me of the Moksha Purushartha and how to get there. So Vedanta tells me that what you are now seeking is not artha, it's not kama, it's not dharma, it is moksha, which is unconditional fulfillment. And when begins to seek this unconditional fulfillment directly, not through artha, not through kama, not through dharma, that is when one becomes a mumukshu, a direct seeker of moksha. The underlying urge in all the artha, kama, and dharma pursuits is this: I want to be secure, I want to be happy. But that is moksha only that everybody is seeking. But everybody is seeking it indirectly through artha, kama, and dharma. And the person who has not discerned this problem, they have to seek that. It is necessary to go through those experiences. So one should seek artha if one feels that that is going to solve the problem. One should seek kama if that one feels that is going to solve the problem. One has to have these experiences, but then at some point one has to come to this stage where one says, I have analyzed these experiences and it is not leading me there. This is when the spiritual hunger arises. This is when one has discerned, one has discovered the problem of samsara, and now one wants to be free of it. So now the seeker of moksha, the mumukshu, now comes to Vedanta and says, O moksha shastram, Vedanta, tell me, how do I attain moksha? What do I need to do to attain moksha? And Vedanta says, do. You have been doing. You have been doing actions in the field of artha, in the field of kama, in the field of dharma. You have been doing all your life. And by now you have discovered that the result of all this doing has those threefold doshas: dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, bandhakatvam. And moksha doesn't have any of those doshas. And therefore, moksha is not a result of action. It is not a result of doing. You cannot attain it by doing. Then the seeker asks, so if I cannot attain it by doing, can I attain it by not doing anything? Not doing anything. Vedanta says, no, you cannot attain it by not doing also. Now the seeker says, hey, you're telling me I cannot attain it by doing, I cannot attain it by not doing, then how do I attain it? And now Vedanta says, you cannot attain it. Now this person is really confused. What do you mean I cannot attain it? You are the moksha shastram. You are supposed to tell me how to attain it. And now you're saying I cannot attain it. Then Vedanta says, yes, I am the moksha shastram and I'm saying you cannot attain moksha. And then Vedanta follows and says, you need not attain moksha. Seeker says, what do you mean I need not attain moksha? I cannot attain moksha. I don't understand this. Vedanta says, do you want a head over your shoulders? The seeker says, why do I need a head over my shoulders? I already have a head. Vedanta says, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You cannot attain a head over your shoulders by doing something. You need not attain a head over your shoulders by doing something. You cannot attain it. You need not attain it. You already have a head over your shoulders. It is already accomplished. And what is accomplished need not be accomplished, cannot be accomplished. And Ishvara also cannot accomplish that which is already accomplished. So your moksha is already accomplished. You are already limitless, full, complete. You are already happy and secure. This person said, but I don't feel that way. I'm so limited. And I'm not happy, I'm not secure. And Vedanta says, that is exactly the problem that I will solve for you. What you're saying, all that you're saying is because of of your ignorance of what your real nature is. Your search is like the search of sugar. Sugar is searching for sweetness. Fire is searching for heat. That looks very absurd, but even your search for moksha is exactly like that. The lady with the necklace is searching for the necklace. The lady is actually seeking the lady with the necklace, but she is already the lady with the necklace. So the only thing that is separating the lady with the necklace from the lady with the necklace is the ignorance that makes her think that I am not the lady with the necklace. So it's ignorance that creates the distance here. So the lady with the necklace is stopped from her pursuit. And then she is told that, hey, you're making a mistake. You are already the lady with the necklace that you are seeking. She has to be told and shown this. And similarly, the seeker also, the seeker of moksha has to be told and shown that your nature is moksha. There are two types of accomplishments in the world. One is accomplishing the not accomplished. All of the artha, kama, and dharma pursuits come under accomplishing the not accomplished. If I don't have money, I have to get money. If I don't have a house, I have to get a house. All of those are accomplishing the not accomplished. But then there is this special scenario where the accomplishment is that of which is already accomplished, accomplishing the accomplished. And the pursuit of moksha comes under this category. Apraptasya praptihi, praptasya praptihi. Moksha is praptasya praptihi. It is ignorance that is creating the distance between the seeker and the sought. The seeker is already the sought. The seeker is already what one wants to be. But because of ignorance, the seeker thinks that I need to do something to get there. So the only way this seeking can stop is to show that your search is invalid and what you are trying to seek is already accomplished. So now we come to the importance of correct diagnosis. It is extremely important to find the root cause of any problem. It is the most critical component of trying to solve a problem. What is fundamentally causing the problem? If it is not understood, then the fixes will never be successful. One may try to do some things, fix the symptoms, but one is not fixing the root cause. This is true whether you take medicine, manufacturing, engineering, software. In all of these fields, people who have worked in these fields will recognize this, that you have to fix the root cause of a problem. If a disease is not diagnosed properly, then one will run from pillar to post trying to fix it. But if a disease is diagnosed properly, then the cure can work. So similarly, we have to diagnose the problem properly. And if one is really running from pillar to post trying to solve a problem, that should raise a red flag that perhaps the problem has not been diagnosed properly. So without Vedanta's help, the jiva can never diagnose this problem. The jiva cannot ever suspect that ignorance is the cause of this problem. Now, how does ignorance cause samsara? Ignorance, ajnanam, leads to superimposition, adhyasa. It's exactly like a rope being mistaken for a snake. There are preconditions for this mistake to happen. In total darkness, there can be no mistake because I cannot even see the rope at all. So there is no chance of mistaking it for a snake. In total light also, I see the rope as a rope, and therefore there is no chance of mistaking it for a snake. If the trouble happens in partial darkness, partial light, that is when one can make a mistake, a genuine mistake. I have to see something, something that is curved, something that is long. This is called samanya jnanam. Samanya jnanam, some general knowledge of the thing has to be there. But then one has to lack vishesha jnanam, the specific knowledge about that thing, that this is a rope. That is when the mistake happens. The lack of the vishesha jnanam in presence of the samanya jnanam leads to the misunderstanding of reality. The non-apprehension of reality leads to misapprehension of reality. The non-understanding of reality leads to misunderstanding of reality. So the rope ignorance causes the snake superimposition. My situation is exactly similar. I have this samanya jnanam, the general knowledge that I am there, but I don't have the crucial vishesha jnanam of who I am, that I am this Atma, the witness consciousness. I don't know that that of this Atma nature of mine, because I am not analyzed this. Nobody has brought it to my attention. Vedanta brings it to my attention. It says that you are the one who claims that you are awake. You are the one who says that I dreamt, and you are the one who says that I slept. And therefore, this I can only refer to something that is commonly present in the waking state, in the dream state, in the deep sleep state. It has to refer to this I. That is common. Now my body is not there in dream state. There is a different body altogether, a dream body. And neither my waking body nor my dream body are there in deep sleep state. But I still claim that this deep sleep state is mine. I slept. I say I am awake, I dreamt, I slept. So this I that is common across all these states is what I am really referring to when I say I. But I don't really know that I am referring to that Atma. And because of this lack of Vishesha Jnanam that I am referring to the witness consciousness, the Atma, I make a mistake about who this I is. Just like a red flower that is kept close to the crystal gets some of the redness. A child who doesn't know that the crystal is colorless will say it's a red crystal. Similarly, there is this body and vicinity in the proximity of this I, and therefore I say that, I don't know. Because of the lack of the Vishesha Jnanam, I say that I am this body, I am this mind, I am this mortal, limited body and mind. I superimpose the attributes of the body about on myself, saying that I am tall, I am dark. I superimpose the attributes of the mind upon myself, saying I am happy, I am sad, I am depressed. And then I say that I am limited. Because of the limitation, I say I lack security, I lack happiness. And I have to become secure, I have to become happy. So we come back to the axiom of samsara. The axiom of samsara is the result of a mistake. The very problem I'm trying to solve, saying that I need to become happy, I need to become secure, is a problem that has not been defined properly. It is an invalid problem. And when the problem is not defined properly, it's an invalid problem. That means I have not diagnosed the problem properly. And this will make me run from pillar to post. And then in addition, there is a superimposition of the ragas and dveshas of the mind also upon me. I say, I like this, I don't like this. And then I go after what I like. I run away from what I dislike. And then this causes the endless struggle called samsara. So I need the Vishesha Jnanam of who I am. I need to know that I am this Atma. And then Vedanta tells me who this Atma really is. And this Atma is that limitless Brahman, the substratum of this entire universe. And understanding, that understanding is the Vishesha Jnanam that one needs to completely uproot the problem of samsara. So now, why does self-ignorance not go? One may ask. No, I had a lot of ignorance, and I have also gained knowledge. Why does it not go away? So there is this twofold ignorance that everybody is born with. There is ignorance of the world, and then there is ignorance of Atma. As a child, I begin to learn a few things. That an apple is red, so I drop my knowledge of the redness of the apple. I come to know of the Sapta Swaras, that there are these seven Swaras. Seeing, hearing. By seeing and hearing, I drop some of these the ignorance of these things. And then I taste, this is what a jackfruit tastes like. So I use my senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. I drop a lot of ignorance. I gain knowledge of the world. And then one grows, one learns physics, chemistry, maths, again, knowledge of the world. One graduates, one goes to college, and then one learns even more of these things: engineering, medicine, quantum mechanics, theory of relativity, all these, all these extremely amazing findings that people have made about the world. One specializes and becomes a doctor, engineer, great scientist. But then my ignorance of Atma continues. So even though all these people have wonderful knowledge about the world, they continue to be totally ignorant about what this Atma is, who I am. And the self-ignorance doesn't go away by itself. Just like I was taught all these things, somebody needs to come and teach me about this. Only then it will go. And until it goes, it persists. And as long as the ignorance persists, the superimposition persists. And as long as all of this persists, samsara continues. So when ignorance is the root cause, knowledge alone is the cure. I am ignorant of my fullness and completeness. That is the root cause. And this is what progresses to the disease called samsara. So nothing else can address this problem. Action, as we've seen, is a product of ignorance. It cannot address this problem. Action produces karma phalam, and no karma phalam can address this problem. If I see a rope as a snake and I start to beat it, that action is not going to tell me that it is a rope. That action is a product of ignorance. Therefore, the cure is self-knowledge and self-knowledge only. That's why Shvetashvatar Upanishad says, I will tell you one way to, to get moksha without self-knowledge. Yada charmavad akasham veshtayishyanti manavaha tada dukha devam avigyaya dukhasyanto bhavishyati. I will tell you one way in which you can attain moksha without this knowledge. The Upanishad says, Devam avigyaya dukhasyanto bhavishyati. Without Devam avigyaya, without knowing this Atma, Brahman, there is one way by which dukhasyanto bhavishyati, by which one can get moksha. One asks, what is it? It says, Yada charmavad akasham veshtayishyanti manavaha. That day when humans will be able to fold up space like hide or like a carpet. That is the day when somebody can get moksha without self-knowledge. So what the Upanishad is really saying is that it is impossible for moksha to come without self-knowledge. The Mundaka Upanishad says, Tad Vijnanartham sa gurumeva bhigachet. To know this Brahman, one has to go to a guru. Mandukya says, Sa Atma, Sa Vijneyaha. This Atma has to be known. Chandogya says, Tarati Shokam Atmavit. And knower of this Atma transcends all sorrow. Viveka Chudamani says, Vadantu Shastrani, Yajantu Devan, Kurvantu Karmani, Bhajantu Devataha, Atmaikya Bodhena Vina Vimuktihi Na Siddhyati Brahma Shatantarepi. One may study scriptures and become a scholar. One may worship devatas. One may do a lot of karmas. But until this rise of Atma Jnanam, Atmaikya Bodhena Vina, until there is Atma Jnanam, na siddhyati, Brahma Shatantarepi, Vimuktihi na siddhyati. Even in 100 lifetimes of Brahma, Vimuktihi, moksha, it cannot be accomplished. And Viveka Chudamani continues, Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu palabhyate vastu siddhir vicharena na kinchit karma kotibhihi. That Karma is meant for purifying the mind. What karma can do, nothing else can do. It is extremely important, but not, that cannot by itself, that cannot by itself lead one directly to moksha. One has to come to Atmajnanam, Vastu Siddhir Vicharena. One has to do Atma Vichara. Na kinchit karma koti bihi, not by doing crores of karmas. So the mumukshu, who is a seeker of moksha, has to become a jignasu, a seeker of knowledge. A seeker of moksha is seeking freedom from a sense of limitation that does not exist. The seeker of moksha is more informed that he has somehow zeroed it on this thing that I need to address this problem, but he is still ignorant, and that ignorance has to go. By leaving the ignorance intact, any search or any action will only reinforce and amplify that ignorance. And that mumukshu may now try to seek some spiritual experience, saying that I will become happy, I will become secure if I get this spiritual experience. Moksha can never be gained in time. One can only gain knowledge that moksha is already accomplished. Any moksha, the so called moksha that appears to be gained in time, will also be lost in time. So, nothing else except knowledge alone can eliminate this root cause, ignorance. So, a mumukshu needs to mandatorily transform into a jignasu, a seeker of knowledge. A jignasu is one who has channeled the desire for moksha properly into a desire for knowledge. The Mundaka Upanishad says, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena tadvijnanartham sa gurumeva bhigachet samit panihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. So a mumukshu, one who has analyzed the experiences of life, analyzed what karma can give me, what are the results of karma, such a person, seeing that the results of karma are not really solving the problem for me, the problem that I want to become happy, I want to become secure, develops a certain vairagyam towards artha, the accomplishments of artha, kama, and dharma. This is the vairagyam. This is the understanding that these are not leading me there. Akritaha, kritena, by actions, that which is not created by action. Akritaha, I want to get that, which is not created by action. These actions are not leading me there. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva bhigachet. Therefore, to know that Brahman, one should go to a guru. Samit panihi, with dry sticks in one's hand. To a guru who is shrotriyam brahmanishtham. A guru who is well versed in the Shastras, and a guru who abides in the knowledge of this Brahman. Then what are the sadhanas to gain this knowledge? It is called Jnana Yoga. Just like there is Karma Yoga, there's the next phase is Jnana Yoga. One needs to be qualified to enter this. And the qualifications that are talked about are Viveka. One needs to have some discriminative faculty, and this person has already done this discrimination, that these purusharthas are not leading me where I want to go. That is this discriminative analysis is the viveka. And then there is vairagya, the understanding that these pursuits are not getting me there. Clearly now this person is seeking moksha, he becomes a mumukshutvam, another qualification. And then there are some other qualifications, but these are the qualifications that one needs to have. One needs to approach a guru who is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham, as we discussed, one who is well versed in the Shastras and one who has this knowledge. And then one has to do Shravanam, one has to listen to what the guru says. Guru will teach the Vedanta texts, the texts of Vedanta. Now, why these texts of Vedanta? Why not something else? That is because the texts of Vedanta are a pramana for Atma Jnanam. What does this pramana mean? My eyes are the means of knowledge for me to know about colors. So, eyes are a means of knowledge for colors. Means of knowledge is pramana. Without the eyes, I cannot gain knowledge of colors. If I insist I will only use my ears for knowing colors, that will not work. None of my other senses can tell me about colors. Similarly, if I have to know about sounds, I have to use my ears. So the eyes are the pramana for colors, color knowledge. Ears are the pramana for sound knowledge. And if I reject that pramana, saying I will not use this pramana, that means one will remain blind with regards to colors, or one may remain deaf with regards to sounds. Similarly, we say that Vedanta is a pramana for Atma Jnanam. My senses are all outward directed, like we discussed. They cannot see the Atma, they cannot inform me about the Atma. And similarly, there is inference that I can look at a hill, for example. I see smoke and I say there must be fire. Inference is a means of knowledge about knowing something that I don't see through something that I see. So I should have seen the connection between fire and smoke in my kitchen sometime earlier for me to draw, to be able to draw this inference. It's called Anumana. Anumana is a pramana. But even Anumana cannot be used for Atma Jnanam because it needs two things and one of them should be observable. The Atma is the very observer. The observer cannot be observed. Therefore, it is beyond the range of my sense organs and beyond the range of Anumana. Anumana, inference pramana. Then how do I know this? How do I know this Atma? That is why one has to come to Vedanta. Vedanta is a Shabda Pramana. Through words, words can access areas which my senses cannot, which inference cannot. Words can inform me about certain areas. And the words of Vedanta, when taught by a guru, they paint a certain picture of who I am, who this Atma is. It is like a word mirror. A mirror, in a mirror, I see my face. In this word mirror, I see my own face, my real face, the Atma. So now, having listened to this, one may get doubts about, about what this is. And that is why mananam is required to remove those doubts. And then there is rise of knowledge. And this this knowledge destroys the ignorance destroys the habit, the ignorance based identification with the body and mind. Then one knows, one understands that I am not really this body and the mind, I am that Brahman. One has this knowledge. But then there is habitual identification with the body and mind. Even though one knows, one may still continue with habit out of identifying. Therefore, this third thing called nididhyasanam is required in order to uproot or eliminate or dilute this habit-based identification. So what exactly is this knowledge that liberates me? If we take the example of gold and ornaments, I say bangle exists. But on inquiry, I find that it's really the gold that exists, not the bangle. The bangle is just a name and form. So there is a difference in the degree of existence of the bangle and gold. It is the gold that really exists. The bangle is just a name and form. And the gold is a more enduring reality because the gold was before the bangle came into existence. The gold is when the bangle is, the gold is. And even after the bangle is melted, the gold remains. So gold is a more enduring reality. And that is why Vedanta needs two words. One is called Satyam, the other is called Mithya. The gold is Satyam and the bangle is Mithya. Satyam is what really exists. The bangle is name and form. I understand this. I understand this in the context of gold and ornaments. Now we come to this world and we ask, what is the Satyam here? The scientists are also trying to understand what is the Satyam here, what is it here? The building blocks of nature, that's what they call it, the building blocks of the world. So they came up with molecules, saying that it's the molecules that really exist, everything else is made up of molecules. So molecules may become temporarily become Satyam and everything else becomes Mithya, its names and forms. But then they say molecules are made up of atoms, then atoms become Satyam, molecules become name and form. But then atoms are made up of subatomic particles, the subatomic particles become Satyam, the atoms become name and form. So as you see, the entire creation is names and forms. The names and forms, you take anything, it is names and forms within names and forms, and this continues. It is a chain of names and forms within names and forms. So the scientists come up with all this, but they still don't know what exists. They are uncovering a lot of names and forms, but what exists, they don't know. What Vedanta says, that is the attributeless Brahman that exists, the attributeless existence, consciousness that exists. And being attributeless, it is beyond the range of science. So science can never come across Brahman. Science is only probing Maya. All names and forms are Maya. And what Vedanta says, the more you probe into Maya, the more mysterious it becomes. You can never understand Maya completely. On the other hand, Brahman knowledge is possible. That is Atmajnana. So that is exactly what is happening with science, that all these quantum mechanics, they are finding very strange things, that things are behaving like particles and waves. All they have are mathematical models describing the behavior of these things. They don't know what exists. Now one may ask, how do I know or discover this Brahman? How do I know this? Vedanta says, you, the Jivatma, are that Brahman. You are that Brahman. That Atma is that Brahman. You, the Atma, are that Brahman. So if one says, hey, I don't understand this, I am so limited, we go back to that analysis. I am awake, I sleep, I dream. This is avasthatraya viveka. Like this, Vedanta provides a lot of viveka. Viveka, one does these prakriyas to understand. The methodology of teaching is there to make you see what that Atma is. And then one sees that this Atma is Brahman. So now, how does this liberate me from the original problem I was trying to solve? So take the example of waves in an ocean. A wave may say that I am this limited wave, I am so small and I was born one day and I will crash to the shore, I will die one day. And all these waves, they are bombarding me. I feel so uncomfortable. This is wave samsara. But now imagine that the wave guru comes in and teaches this wave that, hey, you are really water. You are water. Wave is mithya. Water is satyam. Then when the wave shifts there's a shifted identity. When the wave shifts its identity from being a wave to being water, then it finds I alone exist. I am the only reality. Everything else is name and form. So the wave samsara, the problems of the wave disappear. The problems of the wave don't touch the water. They cannot touch the water. That's why Bhajagovindam says, Jnate tatve kaha samsaraha. Once the reality is known, where is samsara? When I alone exist, when I say that I alone exist, then that I am that reality. Everything else being name and form, the problems belong to the name and form, but it doesn't belong to the reality, the Satya. So the Kaivalya Upanishad says, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mai Sarvam Pratishtitam, Mai Sarvam Layanyati, Tad Brahmadvayam Asmiham. Asmiham, Asmi Aham. So So in me, all of this arises. By me, all of this is sustained. In me, all of this dissolves. And I am that non-dual Brahman. This is what the Jnani says. Non-dual means there is only one reality. That is Advaita Vedanta. Advaita, there is not two. There is only one reality. And that is me, the I. So nothing can touch this Brahman, just like water is not affected by way of samsara. There is not a wee bit of samsara in me. Problems of the body and mind cannot touch me. I was never born as Brahman. Even now, I never suffer. Even if the body and mind suffers, there is no suffering from Brahman's standpoint. And Brahman never perishes. I never die as Brahman, even though the body and mind have its end. And then, as Brahman, one is no more a sadhaka, because moksha being the nature, one is no more a sadhaka. And moksha is not something to be achieved, it is not a sadhya. Moksha is my very nature. Therefore, the jnani has accomplished all that has to be accomplished. Is purnaha. Purnaha means I am complete. A few addition of the names of the names and forms, addition of mithya is not going to improve on my completeness, and some removal of names and forms is not going to hurt my completeness. I am complete, always complete. I was, am, and ever will be complete. As Brahman, I was never bound, and therefore I don't even need liberation. And that's why the Mandukya Upanishad says, na nirodho na chotpatihi, na baddho na cha sadhakaha, na mumukshur na vaimuktaha, ityesha paramarthata. This is the highest vision, that there is no real creation. No real creation means as though creation. Everything is as though. Creation is as though. Dissolution is as though. There is somebody seeking freedom from moksha, is as though this person does karma yoga. That is also as though this person gains chitta shuddhi of mind. That is as though this person approaches a guru. That is as though this person gains knowledge. That is as though he gets liberated. That is also as though. So the jnani who has this vision then wears this cloak called the body and mind and operates in this world. He no longer sees the world like a samsari does. He doesn't say, I need security out of this, I need happiness out of this. He is already secure and happy. So we talked about world dependence. The materialist is dependent on the world for this. We talked about the religious materialist who is dependent upon God for this. The jnani is dependent upon the self, Atma, Brahman for this. The jnani is already this Atma that is already completely secure and happy. And therefore, the jnani doesn't need to depend on anything else. So he acts in the world, apparently acts in the world, but that action is not to gain fullness, but the action is out of fullness. So the jnani has won this series called life. We have seen all these cricket matches, right? So in these cricket matches, there are 5 matches in a series. Once these 3 matches are won, let us say a team wins these 3 matches. With what attitude do they play the other matches? They don't say, I'm not going to play it. They still play. But they know they have won the series. So the outcome of these matches doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter at all. They have won the series. Therefore, this jnani has won the series of life. He can engage in vyavahara. The jnani can engage in as much vyavahara as one wants, but then the vyavahara cannot affect the jnani, cannot touch the jnani. And therefore, with this dwelling for the last about 1 hour 25 minutes, we saw what the nature of moksha is. Moksha is already accomplished. That's what Vedanta teaches me. And we saw what the means for moksha is. The only direct means for moksha is jnanam, atma jnanam. And we saw what the means for Atmajnanam is, which is the words of Vedanta taught by a guru. And we saw that in order to approach Vedanta, one needs to be qualified. We saw what the qualifications are and how to gain them, Chitta Shuddhi. And therefore, Karma Yoga is the indirect means to moksha. With this, I bring an end to this discussion with a prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you very much, Satyanji, for that wonderful talk on moksha and its nature. And you very well defined the problem, how to solve the problem, and the root cause of the problem. So, and also you said that knowledge is because of ignorance is because we don't have knowledge about it, and Atma Jnana is the answer for everything. Thank you for that. We have a couple of questions. One question is, at a stage of life when one's artha becomes less important and begins to go towards karma yoga and chitta shuddhi, how to tackle vishesha dharma, that is dharma sankta of every day? How do you solve those?
Can you please repeat the last part of the question about
Yeah,
how to tackle?
or even in any job where there is dharma sankata, how do we tackle that?
That's a very good question. Now, as we discussed, that a lot of times what is dharma is reasonably clear to us. A lot of it is common sense. I should not lie, I should not cheat, I should not hurt somebody. This is the samanya dharma. And then I also understand what my job responsibilities are. There may be certain vishesha dharma, but the dharma sankata can be there in some situations. I may not be, with my intellect, be able to determine clearly what the right dharma is, what is the right thing to do in a certain situation. And that is why we say that in such situations, if I'm somewhat confused, rather than just act out of ignorance potentially, because even acting out of ignorance will have its implications. Ignorance is not an excuse for doing something that is not right. So one should try to seek what is right in every situation. And if one is not clear about it, one needs to approach one's guru. One has to approach a Mahatma and ask them what is the right thing to do in such a situation.
Thank you for that answer. The other one is moksha a feeling of completeness?
Yes, moksha is unconditional fulfillment. So one is fulfilled, one is happy, one is secure, independent of the situation. There are situations in life, but that does not affect one's completeness. So it is really fullness. In fact, I think Swami Vidyaranya uses this term, triptihi nirankusha. That is, it is unconditional tripti, fulfillment.
Another question that's common is, how do I find a guru for understanding Vedanta text? I'm 50 plus.
What was the last part again, please?
I am 50 plus years of
Oh,
years.
Ishvara's anugraha is required. And that's why we say that one should go through the process of earning Ishvara's anugraha. Because awakening from samsara is not an ordinary thing. One has to have the anugraha which leads us to a guru. One has to earn it by doing good acts, acts of punyam. That punyam is the one that fructifies and makes one progress spiritually. Whether it is, seeing the limitations of what the world can offer me, bringing one to a guru, and even understanding what the guru is saying, everything requires Ishvara's anugraha. So one has to determine what stage one is in and do the right things. One has to continue to do the right things. Even if one is in the stage of religious materialism, one continues to do dharma, and the karma yogi continues to follow the principles of karma yoga in the actions, and when accepting the results, all of this earns Ishvara's anugraha, and that alone brings one to a guru.
Thank you very much, Satyanji, for that answers. And thank you for this wonderful talk.
Thank you very much.
Uh, Kindly follow us on the Facebook as well as on Twitter for Advaita Vedanta, where we have all these lecture series, information on these lecture series. Today evening, we have a talk by Swami Brahmavaidanandaji on Advaita and modernity. Thank you all for joining this session.